hello, hi, and welcome to all our hearts and minds. Thank you again for tuning in. We're here to discuss all things that have been on our hearts and minds, the good, the bad, the concerning, and uplifting, or just straight talk. We're your hosts, Kimmy, our passionate heart,
Yeah.
and me, Jeanette, our mind and chronic overthinker. Let's get into it.
Yes. Please and thanks.
Okay, and we're back. We're back. Check, check, 1 2 1 2.
Yes. We are back in full
Okay.
effect. Yes.
Well, I know, let me just start. How are you, friend?
I am okay. I'm doing all right. This week, though, that just passed, Lord have his mercy on me
Mm-mm.
because it was just a lot. It was a lot. And it was like, is it ever going to end? Like, I felt like I was Groundhog Day where I was just repeating the same bad day
Oh
over and
God.
over again. But you know what? I made it through.
Thank
And
God.
yes, thank you, Jesus. And my friend, Jeanette, she had a birthday this week, everybody. Yes, she
Yep,
did.
yep, yep.
Sure did.
Another one,
Yes.
another year.
Another birth tron.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I'm so glad that you had a good birthday. Um, Even though I was over here having the shittiest week of my life. But anyway, at least one of us was
Yeah.
having a good old funky time. So
Yeah.
how are you doing? How's everything?
Very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
This week was like you hinted, like yeah, it was my birthday. Glory to God. Thanks for
Mm-hmm.
another year in
Yes.
life. And for my birthday, I'm a little bit more self-reflective, like my family and when I was
Mm-hmm.
younger, a lot of my friends, I think that's just what friends do. They encourage you to do something for your
Yep.
birthday, and I often did.
Mm-hmm.
But I am usually that's like a time for me personally to be introspective and just like,
Mm-hmm.
just to reevaluate, as you used to say.
Yes.
You know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Reevaluate your
So
life.
people talk, maybe some people do that in the beginning of the year, but for me, my birthday is my new year. So that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
what. So anyway, that led to me. I went out to, like I said last week, I went out to Alberta to just get
Mm.
away and enjoy and do something different. And yeah, it was pretty good. So good week overall.
Yes.
Um, just give.
And good weather out here.
Oh yeah,
Out
over
here in
here.
Ontario, it was nice weather. It was summer-esque.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually kind of scared what the summer is gonna look like if this is what the spring looks like. So yeah, I'm gonna get ready for that. Make sure I get my sunblock and lots of water. And yes, black people, we do need sunblock. Okay, yes, we do. So don't let them
Yep.
fool you.
Everybody's skin
Um,
needs to be protected,
Everybody's skin needs to be
especially
protected.
with our ozone layer on its last legs.
You see what I'm saying? You see it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so all right, so we're gonna do switch it up this week. We want to do something
Mm-hmm.
interesting, keep it nice and loose. As we both said, we've had crazy weeks, so we want to make sure we're giving you guys new episodes as regular as possible.
Yep.
And so, this week we're gonna keep have a little bit of a different format while having some of your favorites and talking about your favorite topics. So
Yes.
this week we're Kim and I are gonna, usually I go through the headlines and stuff like that, but what we decided to do is we'd each choose a headline or topic that we would kind of talk about, and like we'll start and we'll discuss,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll go into our call out, which we haven't done in a while, so happy to get back to that. And
Yes.
then we have the workout,
It
and
works out.
that's going to be a good
Mm-hmm.
one. We're talking about travel. So,
Mm-hmm.
the topic. So now I'll start, since I
Okay.
usually get
All
this
right.
going. So I'll start. So for me, I know we wanted to keep it light and easy
I know.
breezy.
I know. Mine is kind of deep too, so it's probably gonna be the same thing. But go on. Mm-hmm.
This Buffalo
Yeah.
incident.
You see, great minds think alike. You see me,
This
but
Buffalo incident. This Buffalo incident.
mm-hmm.
First of all, let me start by saying I'm tired. I am so tired of this. And again, I'm in Canada. I know, like, I will say I have a different experience. I have a different, like, Canada was not, even though systemic racism is here, it was a country. Listen, we I don't need to go back into the history books. We know what the U.S. is all about, and
Yep.
how it was able to attain its wealth on the
Yep.
backs of black
Pretty
people,
much.
straight up,
Mm-hmm.
period, point blank. And even that, and saying that,
Mm-hmm.
y'all over there you all African descendants of slaves
Mm-hmm.
over in America, do what you need to do. Do what
At
I'm not gonna
any
say. I'm
cost.
not gonna say what that is.
No, but do what you got at any
Do
cost.
what you got to do.
Wow.
That's my message. If you understand it, you understand it. If
Yeah.
you don't, you don't. But do what y'all gotta do,
At
cause
any
it's
cost.
ridiculous. It's
Okay,
ridiculous.
that's where I'm at right now.
Absolutely ridiculous that the anti black hate crime bill hasn't been passed yet. Absolutely ridiculous. I think the lynching bill did pass. That was one of the things that Joe Biden was sitting on. That finally did. And honestly, I can only say this because the issue I have, again, I'm not American, but as someone outside observing, the anti Asian hate bill crossed quick fast, quick
And in a
fast,
hurry.
and in
Okay.
a hurry. And so that, like, I think if they didn't pass that bill, I wouldn't be looking at Joe Biden so crazy right now. But because they passed that bill with the quickness, unless you give me a valid reason as to say maybe you are trying to work out some kinks or you're trying to make sure it's iron tight.
There is none. There is no
I
reason
need to
why.
hear things like that. And if you're not telling me that, I don't want to hear nothing. So anyway, on May 14th, 18-year-old Peyton Gendron, or Gendron, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, sorry. He drew.
Yeah, I pronounce it Gendron.
Okay. Either way, we don't even want to
Him.
put his name. That kid, crazy kid, where he drove to Buffalo, New York, in the grocery store, where he shot 13 people, killing 10. And based on the videos and all the evidence, it was
Horrific.
very much motivated by racial reasoning or unreasoning in his mind. And he streamed the whole incident live on Twitch.
Like the nerve, the gall.
And I do notice that like as this is so tragic, and I don't know if it's because I don't have cable or maybe because I've been away for this week, and usually when I travel I'm not really that much into like TV or even social media. I'm kind of
Yeah,
just
tap
enjoying.
out.
I
Tap
tap
out.
out, completely tap out. But
Mm-hmm.
to me, I feel like not a lot of people, I don't know, the response has been very, I need a little bit more. I mean, this week late, I think it was like yesterday or the day before, we saw President Biden as well as even ex-President Bush was there and making statements. So I saw that, and those are big gestures. It's the president of the
Mm-hmm.
country. However, and I definitely don't want what we saw with George Floyd either. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want, that's not what I'm looking for, but I just mean, for me, I feel like the coverage has been very, I don't know. What do you think? Because I've been away, so maybe it's just because I've been tapped out and haven't noticing
Mm-hmm.
it. But
No, no, you have no. Whether you were tapped out or not, Jeanette,
yeah,
the coverage has just not been there.
yeah,
And I don't know if you remember, I think it was in February, there was a young white guy who
Mhm.
had a sex fetish,
Mhm.
went into the massage parlor and shot up the Asian people.
Yes, I do
You
remember that.
remember?
Yes,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah. You see, we have to recall. That means that it's not steadily being broadcasted in the media.
Mhm.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's like you hear about it
Mhm.
and then somehow it just vanishes into
Yeah.
thin air.
Yeah.
And so this is one of those situations, but this is what happens. And, when I saw what happened,
Mhm.
as a Black person, it is really, really hard not to be racist. It's
Mhm.
really hard not to hate your fellow man.
Yeah. I don't think
because I'm a Christian.
I don't think you're.
Because I'm a Christian, and I'm based in that faith of learning how to forgive and trying to move forward with a better solution. I stray away from being that person.
You use I want to stop you there because you use the word racist. It's not you're not racist against.
Well, that's what some people would say.
That's what some people say, but they don't know the definition,
No,
real definition of
they
racism.
really don't.
Really, you're angry at what you see.
I'm very angry,
and you're angry at them, but you're not doing anything to really put them at a disadvantage.
Exactly.
So
right?
technically,
but because I'm supposed to be the minority, anytime you voice your opinion, anytime it goes against the grain of what they want you to say or want you to think, then you're labeled with all these different labels. And
That's
so
true. With
either
ignorant
which
people.
right, it's like you get to go into a grocery store and shoot up all my people, but yet I'm not supposed to say nothing about it. And the second that I make a comment, then the tables turn very quickly, and I'm the person that's, the bigot, or I'm the racist one, or I'm trying to do this to white people of all people. Now, okay, when I saw this, it's like it literally brought a tear to my eye, because every single one of those people that died were Black.
Yep.
Every one of them. And grandmas,
yes,
young
a lot
kids,
of them are older. Yeah.
middle-aged people, the security guard who tried to defend, but this young man had on armor.
He had
on armor.
military grade.
Military grade. Where are you getting it? Where are you getting it? This is an 18-year-old young man. I understand that he has more of a privileged life than, like, say, another white kid that is raised in a trailer park. He has a little bit more privilege and a little bit more access. And for some particular reason, he was able at the age of 18 to get military grade armor. And so the security guard, who was trying his best, couldn't penetrate.
Yeah.
So because he has on his armor. Now, I don't want to get into the specifics too much, because it's been, talked about, and I think everybody's kind of aware of what's happening. But what I do, the nuance that I want to look at is, where the hell is this boy's parents? Where the hell are this boy's parents? How the hell can an 18-year-old have armor delivered to the house? I don't understand this. Where the hell are the parents? And as a parent myself, I am going to hold those parents accountable. And it's because they have a privileged white boy in their home who is buying up armor, buying guns, bullets and all, and driving himself 2.5 hours away from his yard to go shoot up the place. How is that missing? Like, how does that pass the radar? Now, when I was growing up, I couldn't leave my house without my mom looking at my full outfit. So I don't understand how this man, I'm going to call him a man. I'm going to call him a man. I don't care if he's 18. I don't care if he's in his teens. Because when it comes to a Black person, they're a man, full-blown man. They can be 16 years old, and you want to call him a man in the media. So I'm going to call this young man a man, okay? And how do you get past your parents? How is it possible? He's not, he has parents that have good jobs, that are very educated. He lives in a good part of town. He has all the boxes checked for him. The silver spoon can't be any more shinier at this point. Yet he can still go under the radar of his parents, buy armor, get a gun, bullets and all, drive himself 2.5 hours away from their house, and go shoot up the place. And then the parents have the nerve to say to me, and I felt like, as a parent, this is what you're saying to another parent, and you want this to make sense. Oh, we didn't know that he was racist or a part of any sort of, race-based club or whatever.
Yeah.
Also, they wanted to turn around and say this is COVID. I'm sorry. So everybody would be out here shooting up the place.
No, that was a reach. I mean, I know
a reach. It was so far. It wasn't even. It can't even qualify as an excuse.
Yeah.
Okay. It can't. It's just buffoonery, as far as I'm concerned, because you can't take an illness or a virus like this and say, oh, that turns him crazy to the point where he's racist. He's gonna mark on a gun. His racist quote. I want to remember the exact words, and I this is your payback or something in regards to Black people. And yes, he used the word nigger. And so that was marked on the gun. Now he also, why does this have? You're going out there to kill people. Why do you have to stream this? Why? why are you taping this?
Well, I mean, I think in that age group, Gen Z, I think they're heavily everything is social media, and if it's not shared, it's not real. And so that I don't really question that. It's fucked up.
I question the fact that now you have evidence.
Well,
You see, this is why, even though he, is a young man and he's stupid,
mm-hmm,
right? We see that he's dumb. He's still smart enough to say, "Oh, let me stream it. Let me go across town.
mm-hmm,
Let me get the armor." Like so at what point is he dumb and a foolish child, or is he a grown adult with a motive?
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so I'm at the perspective right now where I need to look to his parents.
Yes.
I'm gonna put the young stupid ass boy aside for a second, young man aside. I'm gonna look at the parents, because there seems to be a lot of young white kids, young boy white kids, young men who have ample time and ample access to total destruction.
Mm.
How is that possible? How is it possible? That's what I don't understand. Now, I know that we live here in Canada. Our laws are very different when it comes to guns and such and so on and so forth. However, how does he get that into your home? How does he slide that under your nose? How do you not know where he's going? I grew up in a time where my mom knew my friends, she knew their numbers, she knew their parents, she was involved. Okay, right through high school, she's a part of the parent teacher committee. You understand? So she was in it to win it. So
yeah, but
are these parents leaving their child so absent, they're just so negligent of their child that he can order armor or even bring it to his
I don't
house?
think
Like,
it's that.
I don't understand how this is happening.
No, well, I think you could honestly. In all honesty, there is things that even though your parents knew your friends, you were up to a lot of things that they didn't know. Like you could
Yes,
get things
that
under
is
their
true.
nose,
But you
especially
can't,
in your late
but there was
teens.
no way I was walking up in my house with a gun and my mom didn't find that. There was no way I had armor in my possession and my mom didn't know that. And even if she didn't find my stuff, she knew where I was going. He's 18 years old.
Mm.
Where are you going? Where are you going, son? Why are you in a huff and a puff in a
You're asking the
hurry?
questions.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they're getting involved and they're in his, like my mom was up my backside. You see me? So I had to be like a ninja to get anything past this woman. And even as much as I thought I got past her, it's because she let me get it past her. Mm-hmm. She let me think that I got it past her because she was so intertwined with my life. And so I just don't understand how the parents are acting so oblivious to what their son has done. Like they're so oblivious. How is that possible? And furthermore, in terms of Biden, if you can't get some anti-hate laws going on for Black people, then what you need to do is you need to refine the whole gun policies that you have over there. You need to refine them. Something has to be put in place where if you're buying armor of that type of grade, an alert, something pops up, like for instance, when you go to the bank, remember that gentleman that went to the bank for $12,000 and he should have called the bank ahead of time and told them that he wanted his money? Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. Well, there needs to be things put in place. There need to be checks and balances. So if somebody comes in and doesn't present that they are part of an army, a navy, a military of some kind, it sends off an alert. Why would this young man be buying this? Mm-hmm. There has to be checks and balances. I'm sorry, there's too many damn people dying. And for some particular reason in the States, they're all gunning for Black people. And so, it was a little bit too close for comfort because Buffalo is just right there. Yeah. It's just right there. A lot of Canadians go over to Buffalo on a regular basis. So, and what I also want to say is prayers up for the families of those people who lost their loved ones. Mm-hmm. And my heart breaks for you because you can't go to a movie, you can't go to a concert, you can't go and buy groceries.
I just want justice.
It's just ridiculous. But what's his his name? The other little white boy the other day, he got off and he went all across town.
Rittenhouse.
Rittenhouse. He set the precedent. He set the precedent. After Rittenhouse, now we have this. Now we have copycats, but people's lives are being lost. You understand? So while you're doing copycat business, are we really going to get justice? And what needs to be done by Black people to push justice forward? Because we can't let this die. We can't let this die because people are dying. There's grandmas that went to there's a young man who went there to get his child some cupcakes or something for her birthday as a surprise, and he never made it home.
Yeah.
So there's grandmas who are trying to just get a little chicken back and stuff to make a soup for the pitney them and the grand pitney them and she's not coming home.
Yeah, I think it just, like you said, two things. Biden, you know what you need to do, and that you ran your campaign on that. And Black people in the U.S., y'all do what you got to do. That's all I'm gonna leave it right there.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it right there.
I'm gonna leave it there. Okay, so that was a topic that you
Well, we're both on the same. Yeah, because it's a big situation that's been happening.
Yeah, and so the other thing was then, unless you had something else.
Oh, actually, I'll mention quickly. We'll talk about it quickly. So Nick Cannon, I have my foot on Nick Cannon's neck. Best believe me, I know that's inappropriate. I shouldn't say neck. But I have my eye on Nick. So it's been rumored that Nick has finally said, I'm going to get a vasectomy. Okay, people?
Yeah. After eight kids with not
5
random.
different women.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, a little disgusting. But whatever. Good. Thank you, Nick.
It's time. I think it's time.
It's time. Good. And, maybe you might want to think about stop raw dogging too. You know what I mean? Like, I understand.
Well, he doesn't want to, so that's why he's getting the vasectomy.
I understand, but there's something called disease. You understand?
That too, yeah.
It's something called disease. Like, I know that you have, what is it? Lupus. I understand you have lupus, and that takes a toll on your body. I knew someone that had lupus, and it's a disgusting, horrible disease to have in your body. It just breaks down everything. So let's not speed it up. You know what I mean, Nick? Like, let's not speed it up. We need to wrap up, your stuff before you have sex with these women, because the carelessness, it's one thing to be careless about children, but it's a whole other. You're going out here and you could be passing around diseases. You could be. And it doesn't seem like you really care so much for life in the respect of preserving it. It seems like you're going out there, you'll do everything and anything. And if you happen to die, you happen to die. That's your attitude. But I think you should still want to preserve life. You have 8 children to live for. You understand what I'm saying? It's by time you got this vasectomy. You should have got the vasectomy 4 kids ago, if you ask me. But you know what? A lot of people are trying to make excuses for this man. Oh, he has money and money this and money that. Money doesn't buy you love.
No.
Point blank, period.
Or
and
time.
Those children need love. Okay, and that's all that they're concerned with. They're not concerned with what private school they go to or whatever like that. And on top of that, I want to just state the obvious. Nick, I know you got a lot of cash, but the rate that you're having children and baby mothers, like, you're going to run out, bro. You're going to run out. You know what I mean? Like, I know you're still on your grind and you have a lot of money. I know that. But children are expensive. They're very expensive. And you're having them by the twos. Like it's ridiculous now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have 2 sets of twins up in that. Like, it's just too much. It's too much. So I'm glad that he's going to get this vasectomy. I wouldn't advocate for vasectomies if he wasn't being so reckless. And I think he's being reckless. And he's been reckless. And stop this, because you're promoting this to other young men. And they're thinking that this is the way to go. And it really isn't, because they don't got Nick Cannon money. Okay? They're working at Mickey D's, you understand, as the fries specialist.
That brings me to so there is this quote that they said I don't know if it's Young Thug or Young Gunna. I think it was Young Thug, ironically enough, who we talked about last week, and who got indicted and is not looking good. He made this comment about saying broke men, just talk about, says, explains, he said broke men should not have kids. And I was like, you know what? I agree.
I
Um,
agree.
I agree because
Second that
that
motion.
that because you know what, and the reasoning I think makes sense is sorry if you guys are hearing my watch.
Mm-hmm.
It's hearing me, and then it's like, sorry, I did not understand. I'm not talking to you. Um, And so, yeah, because you know what, having a broke man having kids isn't just creating another generation of poverty, pretty
Yep.
much. Because no matter, even if you're a woman, even if the woman you have the kids with is even doing okay, like if she's middle class,
Mm-hmm.
unless she's stinking rich or an entrepreneur, or which she probably wouldn't have had kids with you in the first place,
In the first place.
um
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
then the kid is gonna, by nature and the world, is already born into poverty, because one middle class income is already stretched thin across a grown adult. And um
Very thin.
yeah.
Yep.
And then, so yeah, that's what that made me think of in terms of that. But Nick Cannon is in that category. So people who looking at him who are not of that status, please don't. And then, okay, before we go and move on
Mm-hmm.
to our call out, I wanted to bring up Honey Pot. Honey Pot is a product that is black owned, and I remember learning about it and the owner on the Breakfast Club. I think it was like at least a
Okay.
year and a half ago, definitely during the pandemic. I was like, wow, too bad we don't have these products over here in Toronto, because I thought it was,
Mm-hmm.
but it's feminine hygiene. It's called Honey Pot, cute name, as this feminine hygiene products. And Black Twitter was ablaze
Really?
when they found out that she probably recently partnered or sold a big portion of her company, which a lot of these black owned
Mm-hmm.
businesses sometimes. I'm not gonna, you know what, not, let me not just say black owned. Any small business
Mm-hmm.
that happens to reach a certain pinnacle of success, especially
Mm-hmm.
when it was one person or a small team that got it to that point,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
they're gonna sell. And you want to know why? The price is right,
That's right.
obviously, and like, they put in the work. They
Yeah.
put in the work to get the product or service to where it is, and now they want to reap the benefits. Whether they
Mm-hmm.
want to reap the benefits to start a new business, or reap the benefits to, like, just take a load off of their shoulders and still participate, which is what I think the owner and founder of Honey Pot did. Her name is Beatrice Dixon,
Okay.
and Twitter was like cussing her off. So I was gonna read one of the tweets that came up following
Mm-hmm.
that news. And so the person that tweeted said, after seeing posts about Honey Pot changing up the ingredients, I went to check a new bottle and compared it to my old bottle, and I am
Mm-hmm.
sick. We can't have anything. And essentially, this product was marketed to particularly women of color, and people, not necessarily just women of color, but because the owner is a black woman, obviously that spoke to that audience, right?
Right.
But it
Mm-hmm.
was really for people who are like who are vegan, or they can't, who need to use organic things on their body. They have sensitive
Right.
skin, or they have a situation where they can't have too many non man made or non man made products on them, so they want to be
Right.
natural. And so in this tweet, you see everything, which they literally compared ingredients, where the first one you see cocoa, vinegar,
Mm-hmm.
lavender, essential oils, and the other one you start seeing those long scientific names where you're
Oh
like, there's
boy.
no way this is natural.
Mm-hmm.
So compare, similar to Shea Moisture,
Mm-hmm.
similar to I think Cantu was another one, and
Yeah.
another one was, I think Shea Moisture was the most recent, like, one where a lot of people in the black hair community were
Mm-hmm.
like, wait a minute. And I think really people are upset is because they didn't announce this. Nobody
Right.
knew. It's just like, there's a 1 minute you're getting your natural products, and the next minute you notice the ingredients look different, or you notice something different. And so in her response, which I honestly, I want to say it's pretty wishy-washy, and I think it's just, now it looks so bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's just some PR, and she's pretty much just saying that, okay, yes, I have brought in other investors, but I'm still very much involved, and these products are even better than they were before. And so they said on their Twitter, they said, we hear you and are here to explain what's going on. First and foremost, we remain under the leadership of our founder, Beatrice Dixon, our CEO
Mm-hmm.
and Chief Innovation Officer. And they said we've upgraded the preservative system to continue to protect what's inside and outside of the bottle. We've done
Mm-hmm.
robust testing to ensure these ingredients are safe and will be releasing clinical testing results soon. I mean, you better with all these toxic. No,
Yeah,
okay,
you
sorry.
better. You
They sound.
better.
You remember this?
Because it's not going to be comfortable. People are not going to be comfortable buying your
Yeah,
product
because you
until
don't you
they
don't
know.
trust you don't trust you now because you went at least if she wants to sell her business or a portion of her business and not announce it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that, but I can give you that because especially if you're still heavily involved, and still the chief innovation officer, you still have a big role in the part. So I guess whatever, that's your money business. But I think you owe your customers and users of your products to explain, like, when you're changing the product, you need to announce that so people
Yeah, I
can
think
know.
so.
Those people who really can't have like weird products.
They'll look elsewhere. But that's the thing. It's,
Mhm.
they don't want you to look elsewhere.
I know, but then
It's not right.
the
Yeah, you should
integrity
say.
is not good. But yeah, so that's what I just wanted to talk about that because I was
Okay.
actually excited about that product when I heard about it and her story and her
Mm-hmm.
success because she was an entrepreneur, she was selling it on her own online, and then I believe Target gave her a deal, and that I know that was a multi-million-dollar deal. So I was like, yes, girl, black owned
Well,
business for real with a real
but you see,
product.
the thing is with black people, that's one idea.
Yeah.
Just give her a set. She
Yeah,
might
that's
have
true.
more.
She
She
probably
might
has
have
more.
more.
So
So
I'm not mad at her for selling a portion of her
I'm not
business.
either. I think
I
that's
know I
what
would
you
like
aim to do,
that's what you
right?
should that's really, as somebody who's starting your own business, should be at the back of your mind. Like, who wants that
Yeah.
type of control? After a while it's just too big for a small team. You kind of need to get corporate and just, partner with
Yeah.
a bigger machine. But anyway,
That's true.
that's our
Yeah.
headlines and topics that we wanted to cover.
Yes. We're gonna move on into the call out.
The call out.
Okay, so the call out, everybody who might not know, this is where we put each other in the hot seat and we ask each other questions, right? And so I'm gonna start first and I'm gonna ask, what is one superstition that you live by or do? I'll go first. I'll let you
Okay.
think about it. My mom always told me, don't put your purse step on the ground.
Mhm.
If you put your purse on the ground, you're gonna lose money.
Mhm.
Or money will just walk away from you. And I don't, at first I was like, this woman is delusional.
Mhm.
Okay. Like I can't even deal with this. But then as I started to get older, I just naturally fell into it because I don't like to have my purse on the ground.
Mhm.
Whenever I see a woman put her purse on the ground, I always want to reach for it and say, girl, pick that up. Like, pick up your bag.
Mhm.
Your purse should never be on the floor. So, ever since, like, mid 20s onward, it's been a thing for me. Like, I do not like to leave my purse on any sort of ground. I'll hang it up, I'll put it on something, rest it on a chair, because trust me, right now I can't afford to lose no money. You see me? Yes, that's one thing that I do, and it was kind of tied with like you shouldn't. I don't know. My mom always told me you shouldn't talk about duppy. You shouldn't talk about ghosts or
Yeah.
like duppy or West Indian people we call it duppy.
Mhm.
Jamaican people specifically call
Yes.
it duppy, and it's like Drake even did a whole song about it
Duppy
called Duppy.
Conqueror, and
Yes,
that's also a Bob Marley song. Duppy
yes, it
Conqueror.
is.
Mhm.
Yes. And so I don't like speaking of like death.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand it's a part of life. I
Yeah.
talk about it for when it is important. But there's some people that are deep into this whole conversation around death.
Mhm.
And like really morbid thoughts, you know.
Yes, 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 yes.
And I was always kind of told, like, don't do that. Like, you
Yeah,
shouldn't do that. You call down bad spirits and all such
yeah,
a thing.
yeah, uh-huh.
So I just listen to what my mama tells me with that, and I don't do it. So I don't know, these superstitions, I don't know where they came from, honestly. They're, passed down from generation to generation.
Mm-hmm.
It was my great grandmother who told my mom, and my mom, you know what I mean? Like, so it's just something that I find that's very prevalent amongst Black people as well. We have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of superstitions, especially when you're from the West Indies.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if somebody started talking about Duppy and then Duppy come run wrong
No,
them or
yeah,
something.
and I think yeah, and well, we have the same background, so
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like our parents being from Jamaica,
Mm-hmm.
so I both of those I'm very well aware of, very much so, and I do think it's coming from our African ancestry in some shape or form.
Okay.
Um,
That would
if you
explain a
really think
lot,
about it.
actually. Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, okay.
So are there any superstitions that you you kind of live by?
Live by, not really. There's only one that's not really from my mom, like a typical one that was passed
Mm-hmm.
down is like I don't like to walk under a ladder.
Yeah,
Like, that's an old. I feel
heard
like
about
that's
that one too.
I feel like that's
Yes.
like one that's I don't know if that's back in the Caribbean as well, but I think it's worldwide.
Yeah,
Even here,
universal.
Canadian
Mm-hmm.
people, I've heard that. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
like to, and I just feel like yeah, there's something about it that feels ominous, and this is not a good thing to do.
Right?
Outside of
Mm-hmm.
physics, it's also just like I don't know. I don't feel good, but if anything happens, it's like, am I the reason the person falls? That's what I
Right?
think. Yeah, but and then the one from my mom is that was passed down, which is completely gone from this generation, is
Mm-hmm.
if you are a woman that is pregnant, you don't tell anybody that you're pregnant until you start showing. Like
Thank
that's literally
you.
you
Thank
you
you.
let people figure that out,
Yes.
especially if it's just like we have work culture here, like people tell their work friends or all this
Oh
stuff. It's
yeah.
like that's all, like, even though first of all, like, I don't have a child or anything, but I just feel like I have that embedded in my head so much. It's like when I hear other people or my friends, I'm like, you're just like 8 weeks and you're telling people that.
Right? No, honestly,
Like,
because we have the same background. I've heard the same
I'm
thing.
just like, well,
I've heard the same
and
thing.
my
Keep your
mom
mouth shut until your second trimester. See me?
and my
Don't
mom
say nothing.
explained that superstition to me and where it kind of comes from, because my grandmother, my mom's parents, they lived in the hills, they lived in the country,
Yep.
and
Mm-hmm.
they're not
Mine
city
too.
people, they're not educated, they grew their land and lived off the fruits of their labor. And
Yeah.
so when you live in those areas, in agricultural areas, the superstition and all that runs even more rampant.
Yep.
And
It's deep.
so what
Mm-hmm.
she said is why people don't say that, or why her mother told her that and it was passed down, is if you tell people, or if people know, they could turn their bad eye on you, and
That's right.
you lose your pregnancy. Like if they don't
That's
like
right. No,
you, they
it's true.
badmind you,
Well, hey, that's how
they'll
I feel. It's true.
and you'll lose your baby. And
Yep.
so that is where that superstition comes from. And I actually agree, because and not and even if you take it away from superstition, the the old country, old wives'
Mm-hmm.
tale reason for it.
Mm-hmm.
The other reason is not to call down anything, but I feel like it's so amazing that when you can have your child a healthy child, that is like
Yep.
a grace from God. And
Yep.
a lot of people, I think, take like, not take that for granted,
Yes.
because, like, I don't know how much people I've known people have also had miscarriages, and like to see the and maybe one time we have to have a topic. It's a hard topic, but maybe we need
Mm-hmm.
to talk about it. In the stigma with I think there's still this stigma around it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, just from knowing people, I know like three people, and I've seen them go through that grieving process and everything. And It is.
Yeah.
I can I can't put myself in their shoes, but it's also like I think they feel it. That shame, like every
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
somebody,
Especially the woman. Yeah.
yes, every time somebody asks you who knew you're having a baby
Mm-hmm.
and didn't know that you miscarried, like I feel like that's enough for if that happens to you one time, you will never ever
Yeah.
go above
Yeah.
yourself,
Yeah.
especially in those early stages
And I
and
know
tell the
someone
world.
that happened to
Yeah.
where she was so excited
Yes, yes, yes.
that
Which is
she was just like maybe
yeah.
9, 10 weeks.
Mhm.
And she went and spread the word to everybody.
Mhm.
And she lost the baby before she even got to 3 months.
Mhm.
And or into her second trimester, I should say.
Yes.
And it was devastating to her. And
Mhm.
she literally had to go on a hiatus for a little while.
Because yeah.
Well, the grieving process, and because she just didn't want to deal with anybody asking her,
I
like,
think
how are you?
I
How's the baby?
because it's
Because
one.
people ask with good intention, like they
Yes, of
don't,
course. Yes.
right? Like only asking because they care.
Yes.
But that is such a trigger question. Like it
Yeah.
just, yeah, she was depressed for a while.
Yeah.
And she didn't, after that, she just didn't want to have kids after that. She's just like, forget
It's
it. Like it was
devastating.
so traumatizing to
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
And it is traumatizing. So everybody, deals with things differently.
Mhm.
But where she said she made the biggest mistake
Mhm.
was telling everybody, because it was a constant reminder.
Because it took
You don't want to
because
be reminded.
you want to think of that experience in that first you already have the grief of losing your
Mhm.
child. That's in itself is I can't imagine the pain, right? But then you
Right?
have the every time somebody asks you, it's another stab. Like you said, you use the word trigger,
Right?
but I would say it's a
It
stab because
is.
you have literally not only get that pain, but I use the word shame. They shouldn't be ashamed, but
No, it is shame
but
because
I think it is.
there is.
Mhm.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I think based on, and again, this is just based on what I've heard and I've read up on it. It's not my experience, so I'm welcoming to anybody who wants to share their experience. But it's like it's the shame of,
Losing
um,
and not being able to carry a child.
yeah, that too. And I think
Yeah,
that, and they shouldn't be ashamed. I
they
think that
shouldn't.
that's the thing. What
Just
I'm trying to say, they feel it. That's what it's described as.
no, but
But
you know what?
I
The
want to
sad
correct.
thing is
I
there
want to
are
correct
some
myself.
people. There are
Yeah.
some people that will shame you.
That's what I'm saying. I want to correct myself that no, it's not the shame. It's not shame is not the word I want to use in that
Mm-hmm.
feeling. Even
Mm-hmm.
though
Mm-hmm.
people say that and people will use that against you, like you
Yeah.
said, I don't want to be a culprit of
No.
using that
Yes.
word.
Yeah, I hear
That's
you.
what I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
correcting myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, we got a little bit deep
Anyways.
there, but that's one,
Yes.
because it could be a
Yes.
whole other, like you said, the stigma of a miscarriage. It's definitely a deep topic, but
Well,
and th-
and just briefly,
hmm,
because in history and in time and in our society, they make it's like your value is dependent on your
yes,
reproductive
yes,
system.
yes, yes,
And
yes.
so if your reproductive system doesn't work, a lot of people they funnel their frustration and anger and lack of understanding
On the woman.
on the woman.
Yes.
And it's a burden that sometimes it doesn't even go with being said. It's just a feeling
Yes.
that comes upon you. And God has been good to me in the sense where I've never experienced that, but I know a few people who have, and it's nothing that you could even possibly imagine because there's so much emotions, and a lot of those emotions are triggered from your hormones.
Yes, that too. Yep.
That's the thing, is that when you start out, especially in that first trimester, your hormones are like super imbalanced. Because believe it or not, like our bodies tell, like it almost treats the baby like some sort of a virus or something in your body that it needs to expel.
Yes.
So that's why we have morning sickness and all of that jazz. And so, when that happens, you're already off tilt. You're already off center, because of your hormones. And then the sadness of losing the child, and then the reminder, and then certain people. And it's sad to say, but there a lot of West Indian women, they'll do this for some reason, and I don't know why. They shouldn't, but they look down upon you in a way where you feel as though, well, am I less than because I couldn't carry the child? But either way, we'll get deep another time on that topic. So we want to still kind of keep this show as light as we can. I know we keep saying that, but the first two segments are not so light. So we're going to try to keep it light for the third, and we're going to go into our workout.
The workout.
And the workout this week, what we're going to be talking about is, and we've done this series before, so I hope listeners can point that out. And that is traveling while Black. Boy, this is a good old funky topic that I think is going to be really fun. So we just wanted to talk about some things that, as a Black person, you have to be aware of, certain things in our own experiences, some pros and some cons, and talking about the experience of a Black person traveling. Now, we are going to talk about, as Canadians, traveling in Canada and abroad, and things that, you might want to look out for. So I'll start off by saying that I think traveling is super essential in your life. God gave us this huge planet, and you can't go to every place in the world in your lifetime, every little crevice of this world. It's such a beautiful place, and we should embrace traveling and getting to know outside of our little box. And I love traveling. My parents were the ones that got me hooked onto that. And as Black people in Canada, being West Indian, they were fearless. And they, took me along, and I got to see a lot. And I'm so glad that they did. It opened my eyes to somewhere other than here. Other than here, meaning your home, around the way, your neighborhood, other than here. And when you come back, you can have a new gratitude for where you're living, and all the perks that you might have. Now, I would say one con that I have, and I don't want to go deep into it, but because we're Black, and there is this attitude and notion in the world about anti-Black, anything that's not Black is better for some particular reason. And so while traveling, you have to be aware. Your guard has to be up more than some. Okay, and you gotta know where you're going. You gotta know where you're going. And so why it's a con for me is because I see so many other different races, and they just go wherever the hell they want to go. Don't have to worry, think too tough, do research and stuff. Don't have to do none of that. They just pick up and go. All of a sudden you'll just see a bus full of Asian people coming off the bus from nowhere, and it's like, how fearless are they? But my parents said, no, you are a human being just like anybody else, and you deserve to explore the world. God gave it to you. So what are some pros and cons that you might have? And then we'll go into our perspectives on traveling.
I think that I want to sound classist here, but call me out if I am. I feel like any person who has any kind of culture or sophistication, or not even, I don't want to use the word sophistication, but your mind is slightly elevated from the pits. Then you should understand why travel is valuable. It's valuable. It's not a must-have, but understand the value of it and what it could feed you as a human being. So
Mm-hmm.
a pro is obviously outside of, just going on a vacation. Like, here we have that word
Mm-hmm.
vacation, it's very vague, but it gives you a new perspective. It gets you out of your
Mm-hmm.
comfort, it gets you out of your comfort zone.
Yep.
And you need to be out of your comfort zone to grow and have that growth mindset.
That's right.
Another great feeling is it's very freeing, as there's like some countries, us as Canadians or even North Americans, or anywhere, anybody in the Western world, really, it's like very
Yeah.
freeing, because there are some countries, like say like a North Korea, or even people, because of their station in life, or just how their country kind of just categorizes people and keeps them there, are not
Mm-hmm.
even able to travel. So
Mm-hmm.
like the fact that we are here, if you're in a country and you could rub, even $200 to get together to go drive across the border, do it. Like, we
Yep.
can exercise that freedom. We're so fortunate.
That's
So
right.
those are the pros for me. And then a con, I guess, is it depends on your state. Like, I want to try and step out of myself and think of it. A con can be, it's very nerve wracking. In all honesty, like, especially if you're going international, like
Yeah.
international travel, you can't play around with international. Like, you need to, like, you can't just be all willy nilly, especially like we said, we're traveling while black. We're not speaking as, Canadian, a typical Canadian traveler.
Yeah.
We're talking
Yep.
as black people. It could be very, you need to know where you're going, and you need to
Yep.
plan, and you need
Mm-hmm.
to understand, like, the situation. Like, make sure, like,
Yep.
and I think you brought it up. It's like, if you're going somewhere, do your research. Something I do, especially if it's not typical, if it's a place where I know, like, okay, one of the trips I did in the last couple, like before the pandemic, was to
Mm-hmm.
Costa Rica, and I know I was like,
Yeah.
well, Costa Rica has black people, I'm good. Like, as long
Yep.
like
Yep.
I for that trip I didn't go, and they're
Mm-hmm.
pretty liberal. It's even out of all it is one of the more liberal Spanish countries. So I was like, I felt safe. I still did my little research, but based on the people I know who went there and their population and everything, I was like, I felt pretty safe as a black person
Mm-hmm.
going to Costa Rica. But
Yeah.
when I
Yeah.
went to compare to, like, Morocco, even though I know Morocco's in North Africa,
That's
the
right.
people there are not, a majority of them are either Arabic descent, or the native nation, which is Berbers. But either way, they're not 100% black. Maybe there's something
Mm-hmm.
down the line, but
Yeah.
really more of
Yeah.
an Arabic flavor, right? And so
Right.
I did a lot of research, and it wasn't the color. Again, like I said, it's Africa, so there's black people there, so that's not a new thing.
Yeah.
But it's more because they're a Muslim country, so that's another thing. Like, make sure you
Yeah.
understand, if especially if you're going to a country where not necessarily Islam, but if they are very religious, whether it's Hinduism or Buddhism,
Mm-hmm.
like, we need to understand that, be respectful of that culture,
That's
especially if it's
right.
very dominant. And, like, so a lot of the countries that are very Islamic, or I know in Thailand, they're Buddhist, and so they're very conservative in certain areas. So you can't just, like, yeah, I'm on vacation, I'm somewhere high, I'm gonna wear a bikini, and, like, yeah, be
No.
careful with that. You have to be respectful of certain areas of how you dress, and that's why I said the con is it could be a little bit nerve wracking, but I think a way to counteract that is just be prepared and do your homework and check out. Something I do is I check out some travel blogs. And while we were talking about this episode and planning, I found one. I see them a lot, but I don't. There's not
Mm-hmm.
one where I just know by one name. But I found
Mm-hmm.
a Canadian Jamaican who, that's
Ooh.
her name is her Instagram is Onika the Traveler, and that's an example of somebody I would go on their blog, or, Instagram is just photos, so you get an idea. But I'll go on their blog and read their take on, if it's a country or region that I'm interested in, I'll go and read what they're saying. But yeah, that was those are my pros and cons. But either way,
Yes.
as you could hear, the pros
Outweigh
way outweigh the
exactly.
cons, for
Big time.
sure, for
Big time.
sure.
And I don't want to focus too much on the cons because I don't want people to get deterred from wanting to
No, nothing's
travel.
ever perfect and peachy.
Nothing is ever going to be right. Exactly. Exactly. You said it. But I want to go into perspective. So you said something, we both actually said researching the place.
Hmm.
Now, we see that young basketball player, the
Oh
female
yes,
basketball player that's stuck
Brittany
in
Griner.
Russia,
Hmm.
right? Did she do her homework?
Well, she
Did
knows. She
she
knows.
do
She's works there. She's been working there for
Yes,
the
but did
past
she do
5 years.
her homework? Because she might think that because she's a basketball star over there,
Yes,
right?
she thought she'd
That
get
she
away with
has
it.
right, that she
Hmm.
has a little more. But as a black woman, you should have did your homework. You should have seen what those laws were. You should done know that even having a vape on you, period, is a big red flag. And so having a perspective that knowing what you're getting yourself into, it makes the trip all that more easy.
Hmm.
Because yes, there are moments of feeling like, oh, overwhelmed and you're not too sure, but when you do your homework, you know where you're going. What's acceptable, what's not, what's expected of particularly maybe a woman, not necessarily a black woman, but
Hmm.
like your example
Yes.
earlier, just being a woman and what's expected of you and what could throw your ass in jail. Like straight goods. Like you need to be aware. Now, that's internationally. Now, here in Canada, I always suggest, and here's maybe I'm wrong, know where you're from first. Know where you're from. Go, and if you want to go and see all of Canada, that's a good place to
That's a good
start.
place to start.
It's
Yeah.
a good place to start because that you're not international, because that could be a whole different bag of worms.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
understand? So get your feet wet by learning where you are at, and stepping outside of maybe in here in Canada, the territory that we live in, stepping outside of that and going to somewhere else just to see a different environment and to see how you handle traveling.
Hmm.
Another perspective that I wanted to listen, if you're going to travel with people,
No.
you understand? Make sure you know who the hell you're traveling with, please.
Yes,
And
please,
thanks.
please.
Okay?
Let me tell
Please.
you. Let me tell you. These group trips. They could go. They could be super fun, but they could also be the bane of your existence. Like,
Right?
so that is actually a really good. That's a really good
Yes,
tip.
know who you're traveling with. I haven't done too many, international,
Mm.
which don't worry, that's gonna come. This whole panini just put me off for a little bit,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna come strong. Don't you worry. But anywho, when you're traveling with people, know who you're traveling with.
Yeah.
Like I'm not just saying, oh, know that they have a good criminal record. No,
Mhm.
I mean know like their quirks.
Yeah.
Know that okay, they're not one that packs properly, so we might their bag might be overweight, or
Mhm.
you know what I mean. Just know who you're traveling with, that they have their wits about
It's
them.
yeah.
And it's important that whoever you're traveling with does have their wits about them,
Mhm.
because you don't want to babysit, because you're traveling. So
Yeah.
you yourself are trying to make sure you get where you need to go, and safe and sound. So you don't want to have to baby somebody who's a grown adult. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Definitely
know,
know who you're traveling with.
please.
Please. It's like a roommate. I feel like even if you're just going somewhere for a week, it could be because it's like you're gonna be stuck with this person. You're
For the
gonna be
whole duration,
of the trip. Yeah.
right?
And yeah, I have stories on that. But
Oh, and I have a very quick story.
yeah.
So I went to Jamaica just before, I started college, because I went to university and then I went to college. So
Mm.
just before I was finished college, I went, a friend that I went to university with, and she was my roommate, and we were close. We went to Jamaica. Lord have his mercy.
I think that's what
Okay?
I remember that. I remember that because after that trip, I was like, wait a minute, how come I don't hear about so and
Right?
so? I don't
Big,
hear about,
big things.
and
Yes,
they were
no,
so
done are.
close.
Because you know what it was is that I'm a little younger than her. Like I was maybe 2, 3 years younger than her. And she has a very nurturing spirit.
Hmm.
She even worked for Children's Aid Society. And so you can just tell that she has a very nurturing spirit. But to the point where you try to be my mama around here, like you're trying to be my mama. I only got one, you understand? And I left her in Canada. So I'm not too sure why I'm in Jamaica trying to have a good old funky time on the beach right here. You want to act like you're my mama. You know what I mean? And I know she was looking out for me, but I have some street sense of my own, and I'm not, I wasn't deprived of traveling when I grew up, and so I already knew. And by the time I met her, I was traveling all over. It was easy peasy lemon squeezy, but it was like every step of the way she wanted to just up underneath me. And it's like, yes, we gotta watch each other, keep each other safe, watch out for each other, Black Girl Code. But can I breathe? Like, can I, like, yeah, I want to get this. Like, don't tell me why I can't. I want to buy it. Oh, when you convert it and did it, convert the money and did it.
I want to enjoy my vacation.
And it's like, I just want to enjoy the time that I have, right? And we only stayed for a week. And it was a long week. It was a long blasted week. And I didn't enjoy it nearly as much as I wanted to. We stayed on a resort, right? Because we have family there, but sometimes when you go and family,
you have to do it right. You have to go on a resort,
right?
Or Airbnb, something,
right?
Yeah,
exactly. So it was nice but she didn't want to travel outside of it.
Oh, no.
She just wanted to stay very close to the resort. And I was just like, Lord have his Jesus. And while we're on the actual resort, it's just like she didn't want to do anything. Like they had some snorkeling excursion. Oh, I don't want to. You don't know, they could have sharks in the water.
Awesome.
I'm like, I'm in a tropical country. Of course they have sharks in the water. But they're not here. They're not right here.
Yeah, that's why your question is so know your because I'm sure if you knew that if she was going to be like that, then not one will just be stuck. Like bad enough, you don't want to get off the resort. Which fair, okay, I get. You're on a resort, so maybe that's the reason you go on a resort. But at least take advantage of the activities on the resort. Otherwise, why are you here? Like, why are you coming?
This is what I'm saying. To just sit on the beach and watch somebody. Like, I'm not your child. And so, needless to say, that friendship ended shortly after that trip. And it wasn't because it was because you know what, I didn't enjoy myself, and I spent a lot of money. I took time off of school. I was just wrapping up that program, and it was just, I felt like it was a total waste. And for years I was like, yeah, I've done Jamaica, I'm not going back. I'm gonna do something else, because she just left a really bad. So back to my point, know who you're traveling with, please and thanks. It's not just about their criminal history, if they're reckless in the streets. No, are they will they enjoy, are they adventurous, are they willing to try new things and go new places?
I have the opposite of that. So I went with a group trip to where is it, Barbados, so all university friends. So and it was generally good. I won't say, I actually had an amazing time, and I'm glad. Some of them were local Bajans, not local, but their families were Bajan. So, but here's you have somebody who's too close to thing, then you have the person who's a little too free. That's one. Right. You have to worry about those, and that's why I get to know the person and like ask questions. Just be like, do you like to do your own thing? Are you trying to hook up, or like whatever? It's like get a feeling for the vibe, because you don't want to go somewhere in a place like Kim just told her story is completely like ruined for you because you have this bad experience with going with somebody who maybe you shouldn't have gone with. Maybe in real like you're good friends in the day to day, but like the traveling situation. So two things: is a person who's too free and loose.
Yeah.
And then there's a person who's too controlling, who wants to control the whole itinerary.
Yes.
Like, don't, like, okay, if you don't like this, that's good, but I'm going to do this, and I necessarily need to be a part of the pack. I will literally go on my own.
Right?
That's the kind of person I am. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're going to wrap this up shortly with some tips first before we go. And those tips, while traveling while Black. First, know who you're going with. Please and thank you. Do a thorough background check on their travel experience. Thank you. Second, investigate where you're going. Yes. Learn about the laws. Learn about the ways of the land. And when you go there, abide by them. Don't think you're above them because you're Canadian, because you're not, as we can see with Brittany. Okay. And another tip is, Enjoy yourself. That is what traveling is all about. Enjoy every piece, every nook, every cranny of wherever you are. Be a part of the just get into where you're
Experience
going.
it.
Experience it and enjoy it and make memories of it. And lastly, you know, when you're traveling out here, and you're Black, understand, not everybody looks at you with rose-colored glasses.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
They just don't, and that is okay. Yep. You're not there for them. No. You're there to see what God gave us, and it's this beautiful earth that we have here. And so I want to wrap this up here by saying, on a positive note, this world is such a beautiful place. Take the time to get to know it. You won't go wrong. You will come back to your homeland, wherever you reside, with a brand new outlook on life, with a brand new sense of accomplishment, with just a little bit more relaxation, a little bit more bounce in your step, and a broader idea of what the world is like. Get outside your box. It's worth it. Try it. And so, with that said, we hope that your hearts and minds were activated on this week's show. Whether you leave with your heart or your mind, please stay passionate, stay thoughtful. We'll talk to you soon. Deuces!
Bye-bye.